I feel like this is going to be a pretty short video because how much insightful commentary could I possibly have to add to Shrek's Smash and Crash Racing? But either way, remember to either like this video or dislike it based on your experience here. Make sure to do at least one or the other, and maybe subscribe for more game reviews of all different varieties. This is a game that I vividly remember from my childhood, even though I didn't play it very much. I feel like it was one of those situations where one of my cousins maybe owned a copy on PlayStation 2, so I only played it when visiting. But I distinctly remember this ginormous beanstalk level and Shrek riding this absolute king of a green-haired swampy beast creature. And I just always loved his design so much. I would be willing to break international law to have one of these things as a pet if they existed in real life. In a video game, of course. I also picked this game because I've also recently been playing and scripting through Call of Duty Finest Hour, and that game is just gritty, gruesome World War II sadness, whereas Shrek Smash and Crash Racing is at least goofy, silly World War II happiness. Funnily enough, both of these games were made by Activision. The intro to Shrek Smash and Crash Racing is a montage trying to show all of the action moments in the Shrek franchise, like it's some super hype, epic experience that we're all jumping into. And then after the montage, we get jump scared by Shrek and his big ears. I then make a profile, hit single player, and am given 4 different game type options: tournament, cup challenge, quick race, and time trial. Which essentially equates to 2 real styles of play. Cup challenge is just a mini section of the tournament, and then quick race and time trial are basically the same thing. So let's go ahead and jump into tournament play. I'm itching to see this character select screen. A lot of the characters are locked, unfortunately, including what looks to be Humpty Dumpty in a flying cup. The first playable characters include Shrek in his green beastie guy, who looks just as fantastical as I remember, Donkey and Dragon, Princess and Fiona in a carriage, and Gingy on a cupcake. Easily, I'm going with my swampy boy, mostly just because of his green guy. If I could pick Gingy on the swamp puppy, I would. Time to jump into a race, and this animation is terrifying. This is like AI 3D DeviantArt shenanigans. Not to mention the dragon reminding us that Donkey married an absolute queen. Anyways, moving on from that nightmare fuel, Donkey turns everything into a vehicle and we can go have some fun. It actually did take me a sec to learn the controls, even though they're mostly basic. Press X to go, L1 to use items and power-ups, and then R1 is jump, which is kind of cool. And that's all I need to know for now. But the thing I notice immediately, even on the first level, it's an absolute juggernaut when it comes to map design. And this is something I vividly remember with this game. We got a watermill, a loop-de-loop, a shoe house from a fairy tale that makes you jump into the sky, taking an alternative path. It's all there. There's so much love and fun that clearly went into this design. The developers really took their time taking the world of Shrek and taking that fairy tale theme and converting things into fun, explorative map designs with alternative paths, which whenever there's a ton of alternative paths in a racing game, it's always a really good sign of a love of labor, in my opinion, and that people put a lot of time into wanting you to have that replayability for a racing game, which is something that racing games generally lack. The one song that exists as the soundtrack so far has also been super fun and enjoyable, but I hope you don't mind it on loop. Somehow I managed to squeeze out a first place finish after being in last place almost the entire race. But moving on, the second map is a lot more simple in terms of gimmicks, but also has a crazy amount of paths, especially with the ability of jumping. It's crazy how I feel like I could play this race 5 times without taking every single path. That's 3 laps per race, so in total, 15 laps, and I'm still not seeing everything there is to offer. This is SSX tricky levels of alternative race paths, which keeps racing games feeling refreshing and fun when they're normally pretty easy to become stale as a genre. At least in my opinion. Lots of mushrooms and rivers, stones that block my path, more watermills, etc. The visuals are overwhelming and pretty. You also move shockingly fast in this game. It's legitimately challenging for a kids-centric racing game, and I don't find myself performing very well, finishing with an embarrassing 4th place on the second map. Still in first place overall in the tournament, thankfully due to that first place finish on the first map, but maybe that's where the kids balancing comes into play and it just gets easier to win the overall tournament versus each map independently. But we play on. Third race time, starting off on a map with trees that have spooky eyes on them. This course has it all. Spiders that crawl up and down and make you spin out, ghosts that run back and forth and make you spin out, and a tree that swings at you randomly, making you spin out. I get overtaken last second on the spooky map to take second place. And at this point, I still have absolutely no idea what 90% of the items from barrels even do yet. There's a shield, the gnome is kind of like a green shell where it seems to kind of fly straight. Maybe the pelican is like the red shell and hones in on its target. I'm not really sure quite yet. There's also one of those inflatable toads that Shrek notoriously likes to blow up and kind of let fly around, and maybe that possibly hits an enemy. Hopefully I can get more familiar with these power-ups in the next couple of maps. Speaking of, I have no idea how many maps actually make up a tournament cup, so I'm just along for the swampy ride at the moment. Alright, fourth race is the charm, is what I wrote down before seeing that I already won the tournament. 3 races is the amount of races for a cup. Well, now I know. The piggies on a magic carpet got second, and Goldilocks with the bear whose porridge she snagged got third place on the left. I unlocked Puss in Boots from winning the tournament, and at this point, with that feeling of dopamine rushing through me, I don't know how I could sleep at night without unlocking every single character in Shrek Smash and Crash Racing. Even though I thought I won the tournament, it auto-loaded into another map, but my recording software crashed, so that became a practice run. I was planning to jump into a new tournament with Gingy instead, but the game actually saved properly automatically and is willing to let me load back in, which is honestly a really nice quality of life touch for the time that I was not expecting. I think I still finished the other maps, you'll be missing out on that for now, but I believe it was called something like Far, Far Away Suburbs, and it had a pool with a diving board. That's the most important features. Next up is Far, Far Away Downtown Area. This was one of the first maps where I felt like I really needed to remember the map well enough for certain corners and turns, and I got rewarded for it. It's been feeling really nice to just play a simple, fun racer with phenomenal map design and known characters revamped in fun little iterations. After taking first place handedly, we move on to some more races. Far, Far Away Castle. This map is in absolutely every way just like Bowser's Castle. That's all I really have to say about it. However, there is clearly some sort of secret path that I can't find on this map, because right at the very end, Puss in Boots comes out of nowhere to absolutely cuck me at the finish line. Puss in Boots plus the Far, Far Away Executioner, who happens to be a character, passed me right at the end, leaving me with a measly third place. This seems to be the end of another cup. Things are moving pretty quickly at this point, and I unlock Prince Charming, and I'm amazed that I even managed to come in first place in this tournament. Cup number 3, here we come, and when I load into this map, I think to myself, this might be it. This might be the map that I'm looking for, one of the most nostalgic maps to me in all of gaming. Sporting that classic giant green beanstalk, Farmland is the name, and getting twisted up Wizard of Oz style to the top of a giant beanstalk is the game, and I couldn't be happier. If you want to see me learn the speed run for this map, and this map only, leave a comment right now. It's very important. This map is just as incredible as I remember, at least visually. Balance-wise, it's actually super boring, and there doesn't seem to be many corners to cut aside from maybe 1 or 2. But visually, it's beautiful, and you can ride down a giant beanstalk. Who could be mad at that? First place is secured, easy peasy. These load times aren't great, huh? This one took about 20 seconds, I believe. Nothing crazy, to be fair, but noticeable. And this game loves loop-de-loops, and I love that about it, but holy shit, I get bonked by one of the craziest projectiles, which causes me to fall way behind the rest of this race. Seriously, if you miss the drain pipe jump, you're just turbo-fucked. I have 3 laps to make it up, so let's get cracking. But I end up getting a pathetic 4th place and come in with the worst time ever recorded using retro achievements. Does everybody only play this game on this platform just to speedrun, or am I that proper shit? The next map is Potion Factory Interior, and holy god, the difficulty is pretty intense here. There's so many things to slip on, so many ways to fall off of the map, so many turns to miss. This was harsh, and it's a miracle I got first place somehow. And that's the end of this cup. Beating it unlocked me Humpty Dumpty, which is ideal. And after double checking the map name, I can confirm there should only be one more cup left. The Dragon Cup, which I can only assume is going to have bomb maps. Let's jump into some dragon stuff. Oh no, I butchered the first map. I fucked up turbo hard and ended aggressively last place. This map just had harsh turns, which I was not prepared for. But the next map looks exciting. Dragon Castle Wall to start. This map is just stunning and ideal. Tons of wooden bridges, stone walkways, and jumps over dragon lava pits, alongside the classic castle pillars on the side angles. Everything I could really ask for to recreate the iconic castle from the Shrek movies. There's also these little orc guys that try to smack you to make you spin out. A lot of the game has been a similar mechanic reskinned on each map, but I can't even complain. It's honestly just good fun and it works. They fit the themes and they make it enjoyable, which is honestly a lot more than I can say for other movie tie-in games at the time, especially a racing spinoff. This ended up being an insane first place finish where I really had to take advantage of smacking around my big meaty club to hit enemies, which I haven't really mentioned yet, but there is a mechanic where you can hit neighboring racers. Certain mean arcade racers really like to include this function. Didn't expect it in Shrek, but sure. It's absolutely brutal on a map like this since you can smash people and spin them out on the tight bridge, almost guaranteeing they fall into the lava and get a full respawn, losing them a ridiculous amount of time. If this was applied in co-op split screen, this could end relationships faster than fucking your best friend's girl. All right, one first place finish under my belt and one last place. Can I keep it together heading into the final stretch of this cup? Tune in next episode to find out. All right, welcome back to the next episode of Shrek Smash and Crash Racing. We have no budget for an anime recap, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Dragon's Lair. This map has a beautiful jump into the clouds, which is phenomenal. An awesome and epic step up from the previous map. Even though the aesthetics are pretty similar, it feels different to run through. I also just realized that on the left side of the screen, the game actually lets you know when an enemy racer is affected by one of the traps you've left behind, which is pretty evil. I also find myself letting off the gas more than ever on this map due to all of the harsh turns with no guardrails into potential lava slips. And with that first place after so many slips, I'm really hoping this is enough to pull me through to win the cup. And it wasn't. I got second place. Game sucks. Just kidding. Even though I lost that cup specifically, I actually won the whole tournament by far, ending with 23 points versus 16 points coming in second place. Here's the only trophy ceremony that actually matters. And beating tournament mode for the first time unlocked mirror mode. I have no idea what that entails, but thanks to all the developers listed here for creating such a fun and unique racing game experience. All centered around the meme that is Shrek. You really didn't have to do this much for such a silly and childish concept, but you really went above and beyond, you crazy bastards. This was just a banger of a game, and I hope this video was at least half as swampy as the Green Beast was. And make sure if you made it to this point in the video, if you enjoyed it, like it. If not, dislike it. It's seriously broken for the YouTube algorithm, and subscribing for more little meme reviews like this or big serious reviews to come is important. I have been cooking up the Call of Duty one, which I'm excited for, and a Bully retrospective, and Bugdom, and Sly Cooper. Yeah, I'm in the middle of playing way too many video games, but thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a base day, you little pog monsters. Holy cringe, is that really going to be my outro?